A visualization can complement music and heighten the interest in your creations. My friends asked me to make this video to help others in approaching ways to add visual style to your music creations. When I first started making music a year ago, I wanted something compelling visually to go with my songs. Ever since the early days of MTV, having videos that complement music is an enjoyable viewer experience. You get to see more of the artist's intention and see the world through somebody else's eyes. This video is a peek behind the different ways I have explored creating music videos. The first thing I turned to when I was creating music and simple beats was to splice together short videos, taking iconic images and remixing them and adding effects and trying to find ways to make it my own. With basic video editing techniques, you can flip a video sample into something completely new. If you're looking to do this, you can use a site like Giphy and search for a term that you want to use, and find videos about a variety of topics. And then you can download the actual MP4 by using the media tools. And then from there, import them into a video editor and add effects and try to make something that fits along with the music style that you're creating. I found that this was quite fun to do, but was not really original. Much like taking unauthorized samples of music and remixing them into your songs, if I posted these unauthorized video samples and included them into a video, it wasn't really my own. I wasn't crediting the artists involved. In fact, I didn't even know quite who all the artists involved in creating these short-lived video snippets. And so it wasn't really a satisfying creation to me. So I wanted to look at how could I create something that really was my own, that was something that was unique to me and my style, that represented also the music that I was playing. So one of the other tools I found was a tool called Flip-a-Clip, which is a mobile application. You can download it for Android or for iOS tablets and phones, and it's a nice kind of on-the-go creation tool where you can create hand-drawn animation. I mostly use this for rotoscoping, where you can use it to take an image and trace the components of the image you want, and then create animations off of that. For me, drawing animation is relaxing and enjoyable, but often tedious. I could spend hours creating a really good 10 seconds worth of video. And so much of that 10 seconds I just repeat over and over again within my 60-second Instagram clip of my music because it just took too long to actually create a 60 seconds worth of Instagram videos. So I just repeat it, often remix it and add effects and the like. But it's it certainly is a nice thing to do, but it's really tedious, and you have to want to spend time drawing and have the skills and patience to do that. So while creating kind of cell animation is fun and enjoyable and for me relaxing, I wanted something that I could also do quickly and create and turn around videos quickly from the music creations I was doing. So I looked at other things that I could use. I looked at fractal creators and other kinds of tools that are much more dynamic, that represents a visual style. One of the things I found was this visual fluid simulator, which creates some compelling images. In this case, as I move my mouse, it's drawing and creating this cool fluid effect. And you can create videos out of this, and that can be a fun thing to do. I also investigated some sound creations. I grew up during a time where Winamp was a popular music player in the 90s, and it always had music visualizers to go along with the music you were playing. And so I tried my hand at using some of these music visualizers, and they were fun, but eventually found them boring. And so I was interested in finding something else. By accident, I stumbled across a visual tool called Hydra. I had just gotten a brand new polyphonic synthesizer called the ASM Hydra synth, and was looking at how other people were posting about this creation on Instagram and YouTube. And I looked up the hashtag HydraSynth, and I noticed that some people were not posting images about their new synthesizer, but posting about these visuals that they were creating with this tool called Hydra. So I started to investigate, okay, what's this Hydra tool? And it turns out Hydra is a tool that was created by Olivia Jack, and their creation was a open source visual live coding environment. It's available on GitHub under Olivia's site, and it includes tutorials, examples, and you can download the code and run it your own, but there's also an actual online editor. And there's several different ways to go to it. There's this Hydra editor here. There's also, Olivia has a site called hydra.ojak.xyz, and you can get to Hydra this way. I also hosted Hydra on my own account, formalprocess.art/Hydra, and here I have a copy of the Hydra visual tool. And when you start it up, you're greeted initially with a splash screen and some visuals that happen right away. If you click off the main box, you get to see the full visual and the code used to actually create this visualization. So the buttons on the Hydra synth at the very top, there's a play button, which you use when you modify code. You can hit the play button to run the code that's displayed on the screen. You can upload a creation to the gallery that's a shared gallery that actually goes to Twitter, and you can share your creations on Twitter. The trash can, which dumps all the code and shows you a blank screen, a blank slate to start from. There's also this random button where you can see somebody else's creation. So if you click on random, you can see all the different kind of visual creations that people have done using this tool. So Hydra has a community of developers who are now contributing to this, as well as a worldwide group of users who use Hydra as one of their tools in creating visual art. And so you can see creations from all over the world that people have done using this visual language. Now, anytime you see a visualization on the screen, you can actually permute it. There's numeric values that go into this, and so there's this dice button, and anytime you click the dice button, it's going to randomly permute some of the values that represented in these objects. And so you can really mangle up a creation by just keep hitting the random button, and all of a sudden it becomes something new, maybe something unexpected. And so with Hydra, you can set up animation that you've created and then permute it in interesting ways to create variations of the works that are going on. So we can permute different factors of these. So as I keep clicking the random button, new different types of creations are coming through. So you can see Hydra is a mostly 2D visual tool, and you can define objects, and it can rotate and be really dynamic. The way you actually record Hydra for video is you have to use a screen recorder. So I'm using OBS right now to record the visual screen. This source code that you see here, you can actually hide by hitting Control, Shift, and H, and the code goes away, and you can toggle it back to see the code. But that's one of the ways that I create video snippets, is by using this hydra language. Now let me show you an example of how I start from scratch and create a visual display. So with Hydra, we're going to start with a blank screen. You don't necessarily have to start with a blank screen. You can actually take someone's creation and remix it. But let's start with a blank slate. So the first thing I like to use with Hydra is my webcam. The reason why I like to do that is it allows me to immediately have dynamic video. I can show my gear and permute it and make it look funky and play with lighting. And so I can already kind of start with something visually interesting that I can manipulate dynamically. So I'm going to start with this little incantation that gets video displaying. So this is a short little script to be able to see video. So if you notice, Hydra already, if you're not a programmer, may seem overwhelming. But don't be frightened by the coding language. Once you learn the basics of getting started, it's pretty easy to run this even if you don't have a coding background. So the first thing we can do is try to manipulate the video that we're seeing. The first most visually interesting thing is to start out with a kaleidoscope. So we can say, take our source and make it a kaleidoscope, and we can decide how many, what our factor is for kaleidoscope. In this case, it's going to do replicate it 3 different times. And if I hit Control-Shift-Enter, it's all of a sudden now a funky kaleidoscope. If I change the number here to 10, it's now a 10-way kaleidoscope. Now Hydra lets you manipulate images much like you would manipulate sound. And so if you want to manipulate the kaleidoscope value and have it change from 10 to 3 and back again, much like you would change an audio signal with an LFO, you could do something equivalent to an LFO within Hydra. We can define a function based on time. So using a sinusoid, so it's just a sine value, we can take time. And now with this LFO, instead of typing in a number, I can use an LFO. Let's make this, let's go from 3. Let's go from 5. So we're going to start the base value at 5 and make it go up to 10 and back down. Alright, so LFO is our function. And now we have a moving kaleidoscope where the LFO rate, how fast it goes, is based upon how much we're dividing the time. And so if I change the time from 20 to 5, we can make this go really fast, but that's way too fast. So let's try a little bit slower. So now we have a visual language. We can permute it in interesting ways. We can change the color or remove color. So here's a black and white version of this. We can also add noise to this by including other modulators. And so one of my favorites is to add this noise and modulate what I'm seeing. So here is a video that I'm able to move my hand in front of the webcam, and it's now permuting in a couple different ways. It's the kaleidoscope is changing its values, and adding noise, which is making it funky that way. If I add a bunch of other noise, if I change the value of the noise, I can make it really dynamic and interesting little lens or filter to the video. We can also add shapes. So we can change the scale. Let's add a triangle. So we're gonna add. Oops, that's a big triangle. Let's make it repeat a few times. So now we have some triangle shapes. Whoa, that's hard to see. Okay, sorry about that. So you can manipulate it in all sorts of different ways. You can add and remove things. We can remove our kaleidoscope. We can change the elements here. Remember, we have this random dice function. So if we roll the random dice, it can change our time frame and things that we're doing. If we add back in the kaleidoscope, oops, we'll add that back in. If you change the order of operations, much like in sound, it can greatly change how you're viewing. So here we're mute it. So it's a fun language to play around with and to try different things on. So let's start back from scratch. Another thing we can do is add other ways to break up the video. So we can pixelate it. So pixelating it. We can even do a modulated pixel. And there's oscillators and all sorts of fun things that can really make video interesting. The cool thing about it is that I can actually make video that matches a rhythm or beat by just moving things around me. You know, I can take random objects and put them in front of the screen and create interesting visualizations there. I can take the music gear I have and put it in front of the camera, and that may create interesting things. And so I use this quite a bit because it has an immediacy to it. I'm creating things based upon modulating, much like I'm modulating audio, I can modulate the video that I'm seeing. And it gives me the immediacy of creating something that can represent the music I'm creating. It allows me to have a creation in a fairly quick process, so I can manipulate things. And there's also this area of discovery, of creating something new that I had never seen before, that's visual, that's interesting there. And so that's why I use Hydra and why I enjoy creating these kinds of things for my own music videos. It has a lot of possibilities. There's lots of different things that you can do to create with it. Let me just show you an example of me remixing video in with somebody else's creation. So here we have a really cool animation done by a Instagram artist. And so what I can do is first I can add a video to this. So let's add in a webcam. So I'm gonna initialize the camera, and within this I can actually blend in the webcam footage. There's a blend function that lets you blend in a new source. Let's see what happens when we do. So now we have my video and it's blended in with this creation. I can do things like rotate it. I can create multiple copies of it. So now I have this video creation that's a remix of this original thing, plus adding my own kind of live webcam footage lets me play around and see what it looks like to modulate things in different ways, change the scale, to modify colors. And then let's see if we roll the dice on this, what happens. Oh, here we nice blues, really cool red. I really like the effects that you can get out of this. So you can see this is why I like playing around with Hydra. I can get some media effects, I can easily remix my live video with somebody else's creations. I can create my own things from scratch. And I can have it match the music and the tone and the mood as well as the rhythm to the music that I'm creating. I hope this was helpful. If you're interested more in depth on a step-by-step guide for how to use Hydra, I have another video that I posted that's a more of a step-by-step tutorial about how to use your webcam and Hydra initially. But I hope this was a useful, at least dialogue with why I got started using visual tools, some of the tools that I have used to create my own videos. And I'm interested in your processes for creating videos. So if you have some suggestions for me to try, I'm happy to try new visual tools and techniques. I prefer ones that I can actually add my own creation and own style to. I certainly love ones that I can use webcam footage on or remix other kinds of screens and things that let me really have much more control about the videos that are being created. I didn't talk about video editing. Maybe that's a subject for a different discussion, but this is how I generate kind of stock footage that I then put into a video editor and compile in. Maybe next time I'll show you some video editing tricks that I use to add variation to a video so that you can see how I put together a more complete picture. So I use Hydra to create samples, video samples that I then splice together to form a final video. And oftentimes I create many different variations of the same video to keep it interesting. And one of the easiest ways to do that is simply by rolling the dice and seeing what pops up, because you never know. Sometimes there's really unexpected things that can occur when you roll that Hydra dice. Until next time, thanks for watching, and hopefully this was helpful. If you found this information helpful, please like and subscribe, or let me know in the comments. And I hope to make some more of these so that you can see visual styles and how I create these kinds of things.